Good morning, team. Welcome aboard to the Morning Note. My name is Carlos Garcia. I'm the founder and CEO of Gar Capital. It is Friday. Happy Friday, August 16th, 2024, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Let's go ahead and get started. Dow futures are down 110 points. NASDAQ's down 100 points this morning. S&P 500 futures are down 0.44%, and the Russell's down about 0.39%. 10-year Treasury yields are down 3.879% currently. Dollar index is down as well, 102.69. The dollar was up yesterday, yields were up yesterday, and stocks were up yesterday. Now all three of them are red. Volatility index taking a little bit of a bump higher, up 2.76 after being absolutely crushed since last week. Crude oil is down 2.23% at 75.26 a barrel. Gasoline futures $2.32, down 1.5%. Lower gas prices on the horizon looks like. Gold futures, new all-time highs. 25.26 up 1.38%. Copper futures are down 0.84%. Silver futures are flat this morning. Going into anything that stands out in the forex world, dollar yen is down 164 pips, so the yen's strengthening a little bit. Pound dollar is up 128.99, and the euro dollar is at 109.93. Bitcoin is bidding this morning, 58,130. Let's see if we can get back above 60, up 1.5%. Ethereum up about 1% this morning. Okay. If you guys listened to the podcast or that was on Spotify yesterday, we talked about us being at a key inflection point or pivot point. We talked about the NASDAQ mostly. We talked about the S&P as well. In regard to the NASDAQ, I talked about that 19,600 level. 19,600 is pretty much where the 50-day moving average is. We broke above that. We traded futures last night. Let me go ahead and show you guys. Here it is. Futures, here we go, up 55 points. Remember, we talked about S&P 500 last night and the NASDAQ breaking those levels. So we did catch above 600, got as high as 686, and then started pulling back towards the pre-market London Open, let's just say. I think it was right around 4 a.m. So we're pulling back a little bit. We got some lows printed at 19,438. We're now at 19,486. The key here I want to see is, can we get above 19,612? And if we do, yes, I would say we go long. So we're getting an initial pullback here. This is the possibility of overhead resistance I talked about. Again, it's going to be all about the close, because this Friday or this close will give us the weekly close. So unless we have some sort of disaster today where we get down to 18,957, looks like we're pretty great because we're above the 20-week moving average, at least that. Now the goal looking at in front of us is, can we settle above 19,612, the 50-day? The last time we were here was on the 1st of August. So we've kind of recaptured all of August's action, and the 31st of July. So those two volatile days, one green day, one red day, is kind of in the same zone that we were in terms of the NASDAQ currently. Looks pretty similar to where we were on the 31st of July and August 1st, because on August 15th, we had a big green candle, just like the 31st of July. Now, do we get this big red candle to give us a giant retest to 19,148? If you are a bear today, that is your target. So let's go ahead and play this as if we were going to short. So if we were to short and get confirmation, let's go ahead and do let's do 425. So I'm going to put 425 because I don't want us to tag 450 and then we just bounce. That's the last thing I want, especially shorting in a bull market. And we're not oversold. We're not overbought. None of those. So we talked about put call ratios yesterday. So let's put the alert here, 19,425. If we break down, we have a major possibility of getting down to 19,217. That'll give us right around 200 points on the NASDAQ. Not bad if we can snag it. Place your alert there. And then your next alert, we're going to put it at 19,616. And that'll get us the 50-day. So now you got two levels to watch this morning on NASDAQ futures. S&P 500 futures, very, very similar. We want to get above 5601. We did not get to that peak from August 1st the way we did in the NASDAQ. We got close, but not quite yet. The S&P 500 futures are performing slightly better than the NASDAQ, so kind of keep that in your back pocket. It's above the 50-day. on S&P 500 futures, and you're above, way above the 20-week moving average. So S&P is more bullish than the Nasdaq currently, but the Nasdaq is going to move a little sharper just for the fact of the price. You're going to get more not volatility, but more of a protruded price movement. So as of right now, for S&P 500 futures, let's put an alert below 55.20. If that does break, well, we got a nice target at 54.50. Okay. And if we break above 56.01, then we can go long to 56.29 or even above 55.85. But I'll put 56.01 because that was a level I talked about yesterday. So this is all a good thing. Yes, we want this. Just a little profit taking. That's okay. If we want to make some money to the short side today, I'm totally with it. And if we're going to make money on the long side, completely fine too. I want to talk about Palantir. Now, this one has been an absolute grind to trade, but you can see higher highs, higher lows, the whole nine. And it's just been an absolute grind because I have it for today expiry. I should have bought more time, obviously, but I wanted to catch it rather quickly for everybody. But then we got this spike waiting for the breakout and we pulled back. We broke above that level, but it's just been choppy. So today's the day. Do we get to 32 on Palantir? Because that's the strike calls I have. It's unfortunate, but we've had some really great winners. We had Micron, we had Amazon. So we played the run up. We also played IWM calls. So good stuff all around this week. Let's just hope that Palantir does get this move. And again, it is setting up for a breakout. It's not like this is bearish or anything. It's just we might just run out of time, unfortunately. But we will see how the day goes. Anything can change. Everyone knows that. So we talked about S&P. We talked about NASDAQ. So that's really going to be the focus today on the board as in terms of options. Unless we start getting some real volatile movements, I don't see us trying to get into anything else. I think I'm just going to be more of a focus onto futures day moving forward. I also talked about SPY yesterday on the watches and charts, which I moved over to a new channel. Again, still available for everyone. That is premium masterclass and futures. Premium meaning option signals. And this is the market watch. So I'm going to do the play-by-play here. I already talked about the NASDAQ. I'm talking to you about it right now, or we talked about it. But it was on watches and charts, and I talked about SPY. The SPY, what I was looking at. We were talking about two of them, August 23, 555 calls, and the 557 calls for August 30th. So I also placed this chart. We're on our way to 555. Just a heads up, this was from yesterday. Again, that still remains. 555 is going to be your resistance, overhead resistance. Let's see if we can take that out today. We are $4 away. So again, a little bit of a pullback, but still bouncing back slightly here on the NASDAQ future. So we're now at 493. Let's see if we recapture 19,500. I'm ready for anything, to be honest. So I want you guys to be prepared that if we short, you're ready to go. And if we go long, we're ready to go. All I want is a move up or down, left or right. Doesn't matter. Just let me get that move so I can take advantage. Good morning. Good morning. Yeah, we talked about SPY. What about AMAT? AMAT reported earnings yesterday, excuse me. More semiconductors pulled back with the market. Obviously, you can see. Need to break above 214.94. Looks like rejected pretty damn closely, right on it. Again, very similar to the Qs, very similar to the S&P. So kind of a moving in conjunction with the NASDAQ, let's just say. So AMAT, you do have that 100-day. Let's see if you get above 214.94. And if you do, and they did beat earnings on the top and bottom line, excuse me. We're looking for 241.11. That is, or 241.67. That's your gap to fill on the daily. I believe that gap was from that volatility move to the downside. No, that was just probably a headline or something. But 716 is when we had that initial fall. It was not earnings related. So again, we're looking for 215, 214.94, whatever. And then we can take a look at 220 calls. That's the 50-day. And then we'll move up higher as we go along if we get there. So AMAT doesn't look too bad. It is pulling back, but I will just wait for that 215 level to break before you do any kind of long side. And again, very similar to Apple, right near resistance, expecting to break out. Palantir right at resistance, expecting to break out. S&P 500 right at resistance, expecting to break out. AMAT right at resistance, expecting to break out. Are we noticing a pattern? I got one more for you. NVIDIA broke out of it actually, but broke out of this one, but right near 125. Keep an eye on that one. I like NVIDIA. I know I've been keeping an eye on NVIDIA the whole time. Micron was a better trade for us. And here it is, right near resistance at 110. So right there, we're at that key inflection point pretty much across most of the major stocks that we view and worry about, big cap tech, S&P and such. So it's not a secret. It's not a coincidence. This is all integration due to exchange traded funds. We have commoditized stocks. When you buy an ETF, you're buying a whole basket of stocks. And when you buy a company, the stock, meaning the stock itself, and the company health do not work hand in hand always. Remember that. Stock and the economy are two different things. Stock market and economy, excuse me. Would I ever buy an ounce of gold from Costco? I mean, me personally, no. I think the best type of gold to own is jewelry, because at least you will enjoy it. And then worst case, you have yourself a little bit of insurance, I guess. Gold coins are fine if you want to keep them in the safe. But you're probably better served if you want to own some gold to own a gold watch. At least you get to wear it. And in worst case, you can pawn it or sell it, watch market if you want to sell watches or what have you. But gold bars, I mean, you just have to store them. It's not like, you can go down the street to 7-Eleven. Hey, I want to buy a beer. Here's my gold bar. And it don't work like that. So yes, it is a hedge against the worst case scenario in the world. I think you're better served trading gold. That's fine. Trading it through the market with your futures, GLD, than rather than owning physical gold. That's all. Because it's just going to sit there for the most part. And if you had big money in gold, those bars get pretty heavy. So, kind of moving that around, and then you got to pay for storage fees. And remember, you got to find a buyer. At least with stocks, if you need the money immediately, next day in the stock market, you can find a buyer. There's always a bid, depending on the stock you have, obviously. Apple will always have a buyer. NVIDIA will always have a buyer. Those are examples. So, no, I wouldn't buy an ounce of gold at Costco. I would buy the hot dog and the drink, though. I think that's worth it. They haven't changed that price. So that's where we are this morning. Again, it is a Friday. Hope everyone had a great week. Podcast kind of explained a lot and kind of seen the play-by-play of what we're looking at. So hope everyone has a great rest of their weekend when it comes up. And I hope you guys join me later today for the podcast. Last episode of the week. And then we got a recap this weekend. Always fun. Always fun to get you more content. Make sure to like and subscribe our videos. Don't forget to turn on notifications so you don't miss any of the future videos. Appreciate you guys as always. Thank you so much for the support. Thank you so much for the person that gave us a nice review on Google. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Appreciate all the kind words. You guys are the best. I do not take you for granted. Thanks again, as always. The podcast, I always do it after the bell. It's right around 4:35. It is on Spotify. So make sure to search Gar Capital Podcast. Done it daily so far. I do enjoy it. I hope you guys do too. And any questions, feel free to write in the comment section. I'll answer for you. Thanks again, guys. Appreciate you. See you on later for the podcast. Cheers all.